Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. This is episode 450. And joining us here as our esteemed guest, Randy Isbelle, is back on the show. How are you, sir? Oh, looks like your microphone is not working again, or you're muted. Marc is also
I'm here.
here. Yes. And we're going to be talking about Death Stranding 2 here. We're also going to be both Randy and Marc have played it, and they're around the same area, so that'll be interesting to discuss what they think about it so far. Also, we've got some PlayStation news along with what they're doing with PlayStation Plus and their continuing journey with that. More stuff about Xbox. Let's talk about two former employees of the company giving their thoughts on Xbox's current strategy. We'll talk about that. Also, the impending or reported layoffs that might be happening to people on the Xbox team, which doesn't help that entire strategy either. The whatever was announced at the Capcom Showcase, it wasn't a whole lot, but we'll talk about it. And EA Sports is teasing yet another college game, but not football, basketball this time. So that's an interesting idea. And we'll talk about some other things along with all that right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right. Well, Randy, is it working?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, these cords are going to drive me absolutely bonkers. That's all I know.
Well, you got too many cords? Or?
I don't know. Just the cords today have decided not to work at all.
Gotta love having technical issues.
Just unplug the cord, replug it back in, and it acts like, oh, now everything's beautiful. What?
Yeah, right? Like, oh, now it all works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Technology.
Well, Randy, of course, has, the last time Randy was on, did we know that you were bringing back Brad Brackus? I can't remember.
It's been a while. I don't think so. It kind of came out of nowhere. People kept saying they wanted to yell at me some more. So I brought it back.
That's always a good reason.
Yeah, it was Robert Taylor was the one that was like, I need to yell at you. So we did that. So yeah, Bad Brackets is back. Definitely go check it out on YouTube. We do all sorts of goofy discussion-based bracket discussions about whatever topics. I think the one that came out today was the tennis players one because Wimbledon just started. We've done video game sequels and movie sequels and best burger toppings. We do it all. Whatever I could do to make three people really mad at me for an hour.
Definitely a smorgasbord of different topics, a different one each week. I did put the video game sequels one in the description there for everybody. So if you've never watched an episode, go check it out. I was on it with a good friend of ours, Sid Scott, and of course the aforementioned Robert Taylor.
Yep.
So
yeah, and you guys were all happy about the entire bracket the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best part. We get mad about things that should be on there but are not. But all right, whatever. We'll digress here. Well, Randy got to promote his show just really quickly here to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Thank you for watching or listening. However you enjoyed each episode, we do appreciate you. You can watch us live on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific over on Randy's side of the town. Or you can just, watch later on YouTube on demand. If you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you get not only what we do here with video games, but if you like other things like movies and TV shows, we got Routes and Broadcasting there. They just did the Elio review last week. And they are reviewing, I think it's Megan 2.0 this week. They keep rolling with the movies every week. So they're doing their thing. Otaku Cafe handles the anime side of things, keeping up with the seasonal anime. It's about to end the spring season and go into the summer season with a lot of big hitters returning. So that should be a fun one for a lot of people that sort of keep up with the anime stuff. And if you need some help with that, of course, those guys are all the way over there to, let you know what you should watch, what you don't need to spend time watching. There's so much anime that comes out all the time. Sometimes it's good to have somebody help you out with that. But along with that, you can also just listen on podcasts. That helps out as well. Just go leave a review, subscribe, all that stuff on whatever podcast app that you like to use. That helps us. Give us the 5 stars or whatever you think we deserve there. Always appreciate it. So, all right, that's enough with the promoting things here. Let's talk about a big release. I know Randy's one of the most anticipated games for this year. And Marc's also been playing. Y'all are both in the same around chapter 6, 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had the chapter 7 right before this. So
okay, cool. What are your general thoughts, Randy? You were the big proponent for it being Game of the Year. 2019.
Yeah, I talked the into it. It was great. Marc was really happy with me. It was great. I forget where was the Fire Emblem game we were going against. We had a lot of fun with it.
Yes,
I like that episode. That was fun. So listen, again, I'm only 6 to 7 chapters into this game. 15 hours?
Yeah,
it's more Death Stranding, and for those that love it, like I did, it is fantastic. Everything that was a big gripe of the first game, they've at least attempted to fix. A lot of the things they really did fix. The graphics are absolutely insane. The story is just as convoluted and over the top as possible. And Hideo Kojima, I will steal this from, was it MinMax or now I'm forgetting which podcast I was listening to, maybe Beyond. They said it perfectly. Hideo Kojima is the king of the protagonist just asking a really dumb question. So another character can just completely word vomit the entire idea at you for 5 minutes. That's just a Kojima game, and that's how it's been since Metal Gear Solid, and that's how it is now. And as long as you can get through some of that stuff, cutscenes are great. The acting is phenomenal. If you have not played this, just watch the beginning section where you go from an opening video to your gameplay, and it's so seamless and fantastic. The game's great. I know Marc's shaking his head. He doesn't like it, but I didn't expect him to because he didn't like the first one.
No, I was shaking my head when he said the performances are great because you can tell that Leah Sedona does not want to be there at all. Looks like she's being held hostage.
Well, hey, it's money. That's all people are going to care about at the end of the day.
Sorry, which character was she again? I don't know.
Fragile.
Fragile does a great job. What are you talking about?
No. I like the actress, and no. She looked like she was better in the first one. Or, Margaret Qualley got too big, so they had to lean on Fragile.
She had a lot of character arc in the first game. She has no character arc in the second game. She is now your mentor, basically, who's kind of just giving you missions and stuff. So she's not going to get into
toned down
aspects of stuff.
True. So what's different in this game? Like, what if somebody were to, kind of have them both side by side? Is there anything that's like markedly different from the first game?
So obviously, if you go back from the first game, there's a whole lot different. I played the director's cut a couple months ago just to kind of refresh myself for this, and I know they improved a ton. Yeah. But my biggest thing is everything goes by quicker. Before it took 5-6 hours before you got a vehicle. They really made sure that you understood how tough it is to walk around with a big pack before they gave you a vehicle to go around with. What was it, mission 3 or 4 that I got my first vehicle? The action is so much better. Combat in the first game, I absolutely hated and avoided to save my life. This one, I'm the exact opposite, though I do think it's a little over the top at times, especially for the whole it is superhero logic as far as death goes, where Batman doesn't kill people, but he throws people off a 20-story building. but he doesn't kill them. That's kind of the logic for Death Stranding. And honest, if you got really sick of the BT areas and it was the same thing over and over, there's a decent variety of different BT spots. However, I still try to avoid the BT spots as much as possible because they are just as tedious as it was. But to me, there's not a ton like overhauled and completely different. It's just improved or attempted to be improved. And again, I'm one of those people that if you didn't like Death Stranding, you're not going to like Death Stranding 2. But I love Death Stranding, and I'm loving the second one so far. So.
I got a game for you. It's called Expeditions, a Mud Runner game.
Really?
Look into it.
Fine.
Does that mean it's bad or good or?
It's the same game. You're just
Okay.
delivering shit, from one side of the map to the other.
Yeah. As far as gameplay goes, but does that have this crazy ass story as this one does?
Yeah, because it's all empty. So you just got to focus on getting from point A to point B.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of depends on you, right? Like Randy said, I think it's more of that with even a bigger scope and Kojima getting to go more crazy. And, I think if you love that, then, you're going to be just as into this one. And that's good that he addressed a lot of the stuff that people didn't like about the first game. Especially I think combat wise, that was a big issue for people. So, if you
this
can,
game is brain dead easy. Like you're right that like they ramp it up really quickly. Like I think you start with a machine gun or like the assault rifle,
right?
And yeah, by like mission 5, you get like the like car or the motorcycle thing, and then by like mission 15, you get the actual big car.
Well.
And I think the BT areas are fine. You just got to chuck a few like blood grenades at them, and that's a-okay.
Yeah, I like to go the original route and just leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Do you like connecting with? Is it easier to connect with people? I mean, I know what was it the first time we had the problem with the pandemic, where that kind of made it, I think, a little bit harder for people to do the connect thing. Whereas, is it easier?
Automated? No.
Yeah,
that's one problem of this game. I think is so the first game had the whole the first game. The conceit was the mules were basically like zombies who were like crazy because they wanted likes.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a neat idea. This game does away with all that bullshit completely, and it's like, okay, but you still have this like system in this game. Why do you have this in this game?
Because likes are still a thing in this game.
But why? Like they are essentially like worthless because like even
they were worthless in the first game.
Well, yeah. Like why do this again?
How many games you play that they have a worthless system? Why does it get up your cross so much?
The like going from one game to the next, they should shed some of that stuff away.
Right.
The funniest part is the sub, which is kind of a neat idea, and you can like use it to like travel around, which is good. But it's basically a glorified menu.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did you do this? More importantly, why is there an internal map for this thing that you can't walk around in? Why? Like,
so
you still have like.
So hold on. So you would rather stumble around this stupid thing like Grand Theft Auto 5 because they don't want to have you go through menus. They want you to stumble around through stuff.
Yeah. It's called immersion.
Okay.
And like, if you want to have like the stupid like private room stuff for the bases, or that's fine. But like, they literally give you an internal map for this sub, and then say, okay, but you can't do anything. You can't like go talk to the captain or go up on the bridge and talk to Fragile. I mean, the only person you can talk to is the doll, which I really dislike. I don't mind the concept. I just like how it looks, like the whole framey look to it. It's awful. It's like, why does everything else run in 60 frames a second or around that, and then this thing run at like 10?
Because it's funny.
No. I did
wait. Don't you complain about Expedition 33 needing a mini map? And then you're going to say that there's not.
No.
You know, isn't that the whole point? So you don't have to get going around in circles, getting lost. You know, that's
Well, no, this game has a mini map. You just can't do anything with it. Or you can't, there's no, like, it provides like a multi-floor map of the submarine. You can't
okay.
walk around though. It's not like you can just like leave the room and, you know, look around. It's just like, no, you just, there's like the menu or the button to go, you know, take a pee in the shower. And that's about it. And it's like, why have this map here at all? Like, why did they do this?
It's simple. So it's not just a list. I mean, they could just do a list, and most of the things there are just a list, and you can go do this and that as far as the training stuff, or you can go to the bridge, and there's a haha moment about a certain spot of the ship that they laugh about.
I get to see the go to the bridge button. Maybe I'm not looking in the right spot, but
okay. But what do you like about it? Do you like anything about it that you didn't like in the first game? Or
well, like I said, it's a lot easier, so I'm progressing a lot better. I'm sure you did it. I died in the first time, but I really did like that boss fight. When you're in the dead zone, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, with bootleg Metal Gear, with bootleg Solid Snake. That was really cool looking.
Yes.
With the fireworks and like this, like there was one funny moment where I think it was like the bootleg Solid Snake. He's framed with his guys, and there's a bunch of sparks flying down on him, and he kind of takes like a step forward because he's getting hit by sparks, and it reminded me of like a WWE entrance, like Goldberg, or you know. I think the core gameplay is still fine. Like, I think it's better than this one. I just finished the inventor part, or I got to his little island, which I didn't know you could drive to. I built a whole stupid monorail out there, and then they're like, "Oh, it doesn't actually stop here." I was like, "Okay,
nice,
that's cool, I guess." How do I get to this goddamn island? I was like, "You can just drive to it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, I think it's good. I think it's better than the first game, just by it being somewhat more approachable. I'm still playing it. Let's say that. I'd be playing it right now if we weren't doing this, probably.
That's okay.
See,
that's positive.
That's high praise right there. Better than the first game. And he wants to go. If we weren't doing it, it's in the show. Let Marc go play his favorite game. It's really fun. Marc,
I didn't like the.
Please understand. I'm only teasing, and you can have your own opinion, and we can disagree. And it's 100% fine. I'm not trying to negate anybody's opinion here, but if they allowed you to walk through that ship, you would be on here complaining that there's nothing to do on the ship. So why let you walk around?
Well, okay, if that's the case, they should have you do stuff on the ship.
But they don't want you to do anything on the ship. They want you to go outside in the giant Australia that is immersive and amazing.
Think about like past games where the ship or the base is important, like the Normandy in Mass Effect. Like, you can at least talk to your crewmates. Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's really nothing else to do in the Normandy. You can do like the upgrades, but that's like a minute. But like, it gives you a more memorable, like, impactful feeling about the ship. And I assume that this thing is eventually going to blow up or something, or you know, who knows where the story's going to go. But they act like this thing is like all goddamn important, and it's like, well, I guess, but I see one room and that's it. And I occasionally see Fragile in the hallway and I can't talk to her.
I honestly don't think this game is trying to make this thing that important. It is just a way to get the same characters over to your spot. Now, this game does do the whole hologram static talk thing that the first Death Stranding does all the time. And that can get tiring. So at least they try to do some cutscenes where, hey, everyone's together. So how do we make sure that everyone's together? All right, we create this ship that transports some of your crewmates closer to you so you can get there. And then if you really want to use it to move across the map, you can. So that always works out really good. To me, the ship's nothing. The one thing that always gets me about the ship is anybody, and you'll get to it once you get to Chapter 7. I think it's the first time I really took note of it. No one can never just say, go to the ship. It is, you have to go to the HPV Magellan. every time. And I just ran into a character. I won't spoil anything, but I ran into a character from the first game, and he said it about 4 times in a span of 30 seconds. I was like, you could just say ship. I'm going to go to the ship. I'm going to go here. But no, he had to say HPV Magellan every time. I'm like, okay.
Well, there are so many other flying submarines that can go through the tar that they need to specifically name it, you know?
I just honestly, I wish it didn't fly. Like the whole idea of like it goes through the tar and stuff is great, which kind of shows why it's only mobile in certain areas. But then it's flying over air. Like, then just go. What do you need me carrying stuff around? Just put it in the ship.
I mean, if you're gonna like have that be a logic problem, the fact that like the bad guy summons like this like 20-story mech or all this other bullshit.
Oh yeah,
from tar. It's like, what?
Do not put logic in a Kojima game.
Or
that is where you lose sight of what Kojima does.
I do like the fact that they're like, oh, use this tar gun on fire to extinguish it, and I'm like, yes, we all know how efficient tar is to extinguish fires.
That fire scene was really cool looking. I have yet to run into another spot that has been on fire yet. So that tar gun is just sitting there waiting.
You mean with the boss fight, or
no? When you're trying to get to the
animal
shelter and you're running through that, and then the stuff happens.
Right.
Try not.
I kind of ignored that. I just had my car and I just drove all the way through it.
Oh yeah, no, I did too. I was just saying, just graphically, it looked great.
Yeah, the stupid kangaroo in my car died for some unknown reason, and I was like, all right, well, whatever.
I will say, I know everyone has been praising the weather effects. Other than the rain making the rivers get larger and or smaller, the other effects haven't really been fantastic for me. Like the earthquakes have been nothing other than the alarm goes off, and half the time the alarm goes off and then I don't even feel anything because I'm a bit farther away from it. The sandstorm was really cool at the beginning when you were in Mexico, but
I'm always in a car, so whenever the earthquake thing goes off, I'm like, what do I care?
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, a building got damaged, and I'm like, oh, am I in it? No.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's what the earthquakes are, is to be able to kind of reset objects out of the world. And
I think the weather looked better in the very start when you're like not at your home, but you have to like walk on the mountain to get to it. I'm like because the rain actually like impacted the camera, and I'm like, this looks really nice. And that only happened the one time. And I'm like, I
will say, I was bringing up that opening section. I think they put a lot more resources into that trek home when you first start the game, because that was absolutely gorgeous. And since then, it's been tough to kind of replicate that because you have more of the open world and they can kind of just focus in on that one section. But I'm with Mark there. Like that section with the weather was... It hit you hard right off the bat and then kind of scaled itself back a little bit.
Right. I think it's fine. It's making my top games of the year list so far, but that's by virtue of me only playing 5 other games this year. So
we'll get to it. I know because Sean kind of warned me about it, but my top 2 are games that I am currently playing right at the moment. And
that's fair.
And when we get to that point, I don't know which one I'm going to say yet. So
my top 1, I'm not done playing it either. So,
you're still playing that F-Zero copy.
That game is still great, and yes, I am. But anything else you guys want to talk about as far as the game?
Honestly, I'm with Mark. I just want to play more. But for anybody out there listening, I'm not going to argue with anybody whether they like the game or not. I'll come on here and I'll have a good time and tease Mark a little bit. But if he comes at the end of the day and goes, this game was not good, it wasn't for me, I 1000% get it. And if he really likes it, then I'm glad he likes it more than the first game, because I really do too. But boy, I can understand this is not a game for everybody. And the story itself is not for everybody. Kojima, especially the later on in his career goes, has this weird sense of, I want to tell a very serious story, but I can't help but make the really dumb jokes along the way. So then you really can't take the serious part serious, because I just have to throw in a weird one-liner in there. And
anime-ness of it all.
I will also say he is not the best storyteller. So the way he tries to portray his story, again, is just well, what do you mean by this? And then the guy just expedition dumps you for a couple minutes. And then, all right, now you know. It's like, so it's not, the story is not great. I will disagree with Mark. I think the acting has been really, really good all the way through so far. I just got to the Ellie Fanning character. Very curious to kind of see where she now goes. But I will also say, maybe it's just because there's more based around what he is doing. But it's nice to see Norman Reedus actually act in this game instead of being the silent protagonist of the first one. He actually has to, do stuff in this game, and he does a good job.
This game clearly shows that Kojima still wants to be like a film director.
Yes,
but no one is that stupid enough to give him money.
Yeah, I don't think he'd make a good film. As much as his Metal Gear Solid games, especially Metal Gear Solid 4, has ridiculously long cutscenes that are basically movies.
Right.
Yeah, it would be tough.
I mean, there are 3 film directors in this thing.
Yeah, I think the only people that would probably maybe do it is like A24. It has to be some kind of artsy film studio or whatever. It's not gonna be one of those big budget studios.
And they don't have the money to do what he wants. So
yeah.
Also, real quick, and then please move on past this game. But the music player is a godsend. There's one thing I really wish to have in the first game. I'm not going full back and like 5-starring all the stuff, but there have been times I just want to sit down and deliver packages and just not care about the story. That music player is wonderful. They do such great things. When BTs and enemies show up, it just automatically cuts out. My favorite is if you're driving around, and like especially early on when I only had a couple places open and they're not fully connected, you drive through a spot that you weren't connected and your radio would cut out. So they do some fun stuff with it. But oh man, it's so nice just to be able to go, I want to listen to Kojima's favorite hits while I'm driving around doing nothing.
I'm not kidding when I say this. I didn't even know the game had a music player.
Hey.
Maybe I missed the tutorial or missed the
pop-up
or
it is one of the side porters.
Okay, I guess
and then he didn't get that player.
Was it like in Mexico? Or
no,
was it
it's in Australia.
Is that the musician, like the lone musician?
Yes. Yeah, the musician will give you a player.
I did him, but I didn't know he actually gave you like a music player. He just kept giving me albums. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. If you just go to your main, like hit options, go to your main menu, there's a music player down there. You can customize it what you want. So.
Oh, that's great.
I've just been watching Stargate SG-1 on my laptop. So.
Again, when I went back and was playing the director's cut, like when I was just going, all right, I'm going to just deliver packages. Became the podcast game where it's just listen to whatever, and it still will. I mean, I'll listen to podcasts while I play this game too. But
right,
yeah,
you should tie into like your Spotify account so you can just like
that would be good.
Listen, you're playing the game as you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. Be like, yep.
Now that Mark knows that there's a music player, I want him to listen to some of them, and then I want a music review next week because. If you just play them all and put them in random, there is some weird stuff that starts playing in your ears, and it's the variety of music is wild. But I'm just waiting for Mark to just play it and then come back and go, I don't know what any of that was.
No, it does the same thing that the past game did, where like certain missions, kick off like a song, and it's like okay,
and then once you unlock that, they go in your music player too. So
yeah,
but they have some stuff that do not play in those. That I went. Why a Japanese pop song that just all of a sudden started playing in music player?
Right.
I'm like, this feels different than everything else. Anyway, but go ahead.
Right.
Japan is where the Death Stranding didn't hit, so it's still all right.
All right. Well, I mean, you just said that you're listening to podcasts and music, whatever, while you're doing that. I hope that you are not listening to podcasts and enjoying the amazing music in Expedition 33, the other game I know you've been spending some time in, Randy.
No. Because the music is so darn good in that game.
Yeah.
And awesome. I told you before the show, apparently I was not paying attention for the same thing Mark was saying about tutorials and stuff. So I was upgrading my characters completely wrong and got to a cave where they just, every normal fight. All of a sudden, like I was doing fine. And then every single fight, all of a sudden, became like a major boss battle. And I was like, why am I hitting them so weak? I should be doing so much better. I looked up something and they're like, this is how you upgrade this or that. And I went, oh, and you can only do it at a camp. Oh, I am so far away from a camp right now. It's like, I don't want to backtrack. I'm so far into this cave. I don't want to backtrack and fix it. So I am sluggishly, like literally one fight a day just before my sanity dies, trying to work my way through it. Again, 1000% my fault. It's not the game's fault. I am a terrible gamer in that aspect. However, the game is graphically is insane. The music is fun. The story has me lost, but in a good way, because I want to solve things. And I think that's the whole point of the game is you kind of learn all the stuff throughout.
Yes.
And we're right now at that point of what is going on. When I was looking stuff up, I know I'm near the end of Act 1. But I know I have a long ways to go.
Just get ready. Get ready.
Oh, I know it's going to get crazier. And that's why I'm so glad I looked something up, because I don't know if I would have gotten any further.
Honestly, I would. You know, there's not like a ton of enemies in each area. I would really like, because once you upgrade the characters and you're back to doing the damage you were doing before or whatever, especially if you can figure out like, you know, weaknesses and stuff like that, you'll go through those, you know, the just random battles quick. So it won't feel like you're having to go through the whole trek again, you know.
For those that have played it, where did I say it was? The cliffs or something?
Stone Wave Cliffs. Yeah.
I'm facing 3 enemies like every room, that one of them guards everybody, so they give him 2 shields, and then the one sword dude stabs himself and gives him 4 more. So it's like, if I can start off strong and I like am able to parry here and there and kind of get ahead on things, I do okay. If not, the next thing I know, everybody has 10 shields and I'm just using all my AP to shoot that down. And oh man,
character you have to essentially just parry.
Yeah.
If you can parry all 4, it'll knock out all his shields, and then you can just go and
I will say, listening to the reviews, I totally agree. It's one of those that just the more you fight the same enemy, the better you get at it. The timing gets down, and then because I was so afraid to parry for so long because my timing is so bad. But yeah, I can parry now. It just I do all that, and then again, I have not upgraded my character. So then I do my damage, and the bar goes down like this much, and I'm like, oh, God, I have to do it perfect again. So again, it's on me. But hopefully, the next time I talk to you guys about this game, I've become a better gamer on it. But I totally missed the correct way to upgrade characters, and do you have
the break shield move with Mael yet, or no? She has a whole move that just takes out shields.
Yeah, one of her like special abilities or one of her combat abilities is like remove all shields. She gets a sword in the gestural town if you do the arena correctly, which probably didn't.
Guess who learned that one too late, because I used the different character in that final.
You can get that sword later.
Yeah, you have to like beat the
way later in the game.
Yeah, and you have to do like a really hard boss fight to get it. So it's like no.
I have been tempted to restart because of that.
I restarted that game and then had to buy a physical copy.
Yeah.
So I am no stranger to restarting that game.
Oh yeah, it's been, and I honestly probably will have to, because Death Stranding has my attention right now, and by the time I go back to really give my attention back to Expedition 33 and give it the focus that it deserves, I'm gonna forget how to parry all of that stuff. So I good chance in a month I'm gonna be doing that same thing.
I was kind of mad that apparently there's a mime in the first town, and you get a trophy for fighting it and beating it. And apparently that does not show up in New Game Plus. Like, you have to actually restart the entire game just to get that one stupid mime. I'm like, damn, really?
But if you restart the game and kill the mime, the trophy does pop. You know, just 5 seconds or 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean that's a good game.
I agree.
I got the full platinum in that one. So
Hey, nice. There you go.
Yeah.
I forgot you told me that you did platinum it. Anything else you've been playing, Randy?
No, those are the two main things. Nobody cares about MLB The Show. I play it all the time, and it is becoming more matified every year, and it kind of makes me sad. But I'm addicted, so I don't care.
I wonder how much of that is MLB and how much of that is.
No, it's just how sports games are. It's just they want to sell you the cards, and they want to focus on the online play. And I just don't play the online, so I once again, it's just another year where very little has changed for me, but I have all of them, so I'm part of the problem.
But Mark, anything else you've been?
beat Suikoden 2.
All right.
So I got the platinum in that, so I'm happy about that.
Great.
Oh yeah, it was on the remaster thing.
Yeah.
He made it through Suikoden 1, and then he's like, I'm not. Have you still not touched the Switch 2?
My Switch 2 is still a doorstop.
Nice.
Kind of why I avoided it. Actually, Mark, I do have a real question for you. So I can never the Eiyuden Chronicles.
Eiyuden Chronicles. Yeah.
Is it good?
Yes and no. It is slightly budget, but it's still a very good Suikoden clone. Like it's better than 3.
Because it hit PlayStation Plus last month, and I mean, obviously after Death Stranding and Expedition, I was like, I want to give this a shot. But I was like, I know Mark's played this, so I had to ask.
The problem is, like, it has 3 main characters, like Suikoden 3, but like the African American woman is like so barely in the game. Like the other 2 guys get like 5 and 10 chapters, and she gets like 2 or something. It's like really weirdly lopsided. And they gave the DLC to her. But I was like, this kind of came to a little too late. Like, I guess, but this should have been included in the regular game, or might have like tried to include this in the, a little sooner. But yeah, it's a very good Suikoden clone, and it does have a Pokemon style gotta catch 'em all mini game, so you'll be happy about that.
All right. Well, did you end up playing Sea of Stars, Randy? I don't know if you.
Very little. I didn't get super far into it. I forget what game came out, but I was enjoying my time, and then the next thing I know, I was playing other stuff.
For him, the DLC is pretty great.
Nice.
I also wanted to throw out there that Chained Echoes also got DLC, or is going to get DLC. So glad to see both of those games that are fantastic. Western-made RPGs that are trying to emulate the JRPG very well. Get DLC and do that well. So props to them. Finally got to play Switch 2 with Anaya. We played some Mario Kart World. She made use of having my Switch 2 Pro Controller, and she could play the Switch 1 Pro Controller. I'm gonna say, like, I don't know if it's just Mario Kart or if it's the buttons on the Switch and Switch 2 period, that it's like I'll play with like 3 or 4 races and my thumbs hurt. And I don't have that problem with any other controller, so I don't know what that is, what it's made of or whatnot, but she complained about that. I was like, I'm feeling the same thing, so I know how you feel. But she enjoyed it. She liked all the Nintendo won with the kids as far as having all the animal characters that are just kind of random, like the cow and the crab and the mole and all that. She was like, every time there was an animal character, that was her. So she won with that. The Knockout Tour thing is still super fun. I played it with her. She actually got up to 4th, and I was surprised because she doesn't play games very much. But still, like, she was like really into it. So I think Nintendo, I'm not like, I won't play it by myself. It's not a game. I'm waiting for Donkey Kong to be the game that I'm sitting there playing my Switch 2 a lot. After I watch that direct, but yeah, still definitely think it's so worth. I do think it's worth $80 if you have people to play it with. I think if you bought it to play solo or just online, maybe it's not. But maybe they'll add stuff to it later on. And that's about it because I went back and I beat the second Axon in Expedition 33. So now I'm up to where you're going to face the Paintress now, which Mark's already cleared that by a mile a long time ago. But got sidetracked going. I want to finish this game so I can enjoy this amazing story that I'm already enjoying. But I heard it gets even more crazy when you get to the end. So I want to see what that is.
I'm to spoil it for you guys.
No, please don't. But okay, that's enough with the games we have been playing here. There's not. This is not a. Last week was a huge, heavy news week. This week is not heavy on news, which is good because we have the topic at the end. So, but PlayStation did announce their PlayStation Plus games, which you can go download now. If you're listening to this tomorrow or later than just today, if you don't have Diablo 4 yet and you have PS Plus, you can go download that and play that right now. You enjoyed that, right, Mark?
Yeah, I still occasionally play it like every other day or so. I log on for like 10 minutes, look at the store, be disappointed, and then cut it back off.
If you're more of the fighting game variety, you got King of Fighters 15. That's for PS5 and PS4 as well, along with Diablo 4. And then you got Jusant, which that was on Game Pass last year. It's a Don't Nod game about climbing, literally a mountain. But it has a neat story to it. So, if you like those Don't Nod games, this is another one of those, and they do that pretty well. Don't Nod's kind of had a rough ever since like Life is Strange 2 Colors, where it's like they'll get one hit and then like three of them that are kind of like, oh, all right. This is one of the much better ones for sure. But I talk about PlayStation Plus because last week that we talked about the whole Sony, or 2 weeks ago we talked about the whole Sony strategy with that business summit thing. And the one thing they didn't talk too much about was PlayStation Plus. GameFile had an interview with Nick McGuire, who is like their global services lead, and he kind of said that they're going to stay the course of PlayStation Plus. He did reveal, which they never kind of revealed the like actual number of like when they do those like day one indies, like how many they kind of try to go after. He didn't say it's set in stone, but he said they kind of go after 4 or 5. And that's what they kind of go with for the doing the day one thing. And then their strategy is to kind of do the first party titles 12 to 18 months, especially after, apparently people didn't buy a lot of Horizon Forbidden West because they put it on PS Plus after a year. So that's leading them to why they don't put their first party titles in there very quickly, and also why they remove things. Their whole thing about removing things is that they have 80 collections of games across their catalog, and that apparently they want to keep it fresh. So they want people to feel like things are going to leave, so maybe they'll play it, or just to kind of, I guess, be able to cycle through things, which whatever. Randy, you are the PS Plus person here. What do you think about like their strategy? Do you wish they did more in a certain area? Do you think it's great the way it is? What are your feelings?
Honestly, the one thing I wish they would 100% fix is the classics. And I think we've talked about it on here before that you don't need to have the top tier for PlayStation Plus because they really don't add a lot of the classic games. And usually when they do, like some of them won't come with the trophies that Mark and I like to go after, so it's a little disappointing. Capcom, please get all your stuff. I want to platinum the original Resident Evil, please. but to me, that's fine. I have no problem with them not doing the Xbox version of all this stuff and having day one games right on their PlayStation Plus stuff, other than some of the indies that I really think are trying to do that to get their name out. And you have a game like Stray that was kind of took the world by storm because a lot of people could hop on there real quick and play it, and it was fantastic. Or Animal Well for me last year was one of those games. As far as their first party games, no, they want you to buy their games. They want to make a profit. And yes, we talk about it all the time. Game Pass is one of the best affordable things, as far as gaming goes, but it's not like it's doing Xbox a ton of good, because you guys are talking about some bad stuff going on with Microsoft right now, and there's no perfect way to do it. And when you do it, you're going to have gamers that get really upset that other things aren't free, and games cost a lot of money to make, and a lot of people get laid off. Every time I'm on here, we talk about that L word, and it's because games are really expensive. So why in the world would we expect them to then spend all that money and then go, here, you can have it for free? That's just not how it is. So the one thing I would change still after all these years is improve on the classics. They had far better classics during the PS3 days. And I don't know why we aren't able to be that way again. But that's just me. But no, I have no problem with their strategy as far as like day one stuff goes.
Let me propose this idea.
Mhm.
If for the Ultimate they said we're going to make a PS1, PS2, and PS3 emulator. We're not going to sell you games, but if you still have the old discs around, you can load it in and you'll play them. And they'll be they won't have any upgrades or anything, but you can still do it.
Yeah, it would save me a lot of room over to my left. I have PS1, 2, and 3 hooked up to my left. Yeah. It would save me a lot of room, so I would be fine. But to me, that's also a niche thing. Like you and I are kind of in that collector's realm,
right?
But there's not a ton of people out there, especially to move the needle for a Sony. Like for you and I, amazing, absolutely sign me up day one. But it would cost Sony money in the end.
And Sony has no reason to really, that's one thing I think we can malign Jim Ryan for all the live service initiative and how well that's not gone. The one thing he hammered home a bunch of times is that there's no money in that for them. The return that they would get and all of the investment would be very small. And like you said, there's a lot of people that talk a big game about how I wish we had this old game and this old game, and then when you come down to it, they don't actually play it.
Yeah,
they just want the idea of it being there, and then you never touch it, right? And again, it's the whole Xbox needs to have any kind of win they can possibly have. So of course, the rumors about them trying to make an emulator so that your Xbox 360 and Xbox original games do wind up working on the handheld thing, and they can work with your PC library and play anywhere and all that stuff. That's part of their initiative. They're spending the money in that where Sony doesn't need to, right? So I do think that I would love to see them do more of the indies on day one, just because like this year, I mean, FPC Firebreak's not an indie particularly, but two of the games that they've showcased, they've also been on Game Pass. So it's like you don't have that standout thing that's like, okay, this is the thing I need to go to PS Plus for if you're into like playing having that day one game that they're really showcasing, Great for Blueprints. Either way, that game got a lot of talk because it was on both services and Sony people got to play it that wouldn't have either way anyway. I wouldn't have touched it if I had to go and spend the $20, $30 or whatever, but I gave it a whirl because it's on there, and that's the whole point of that thing. But what Sony's been doing their thing, I do disagree with them slightly on the, once it's your game, once it's at the point where you're selling it for like $10, what does it matter to take it out of the damn PS Plus? Like that's really just kind of petty at that point, it feels like. But even Nintendo is not removing stuff out of Switch Online, right? Like, and they're charging you way less for that thing than they're charging you a whole year of Switch Online for the price of 1 month of PS Plus or Xbox Game Pass. I feel like, once you get to games that are like 3-4 years old, nobody's buying that anymore. Like, what would be the point of removing God of War Ragnarok or whatever at that point? I own the game. I don't particularly care. I'm just saying for people that maybe they started playing it on there and then now they can't because you took it off. It's your game. You're not really earning a lot from it. I just don't see the point in that. But the rest of the strategy I understand.
I will say the one counter argument, not that I agree with it. I'm with you that the first party games after a while, go ahead and just throw it on there because just kind of have it builds your catalog, and then you can say you have so many games on there and so on and so forth. But I think their idea is, all right, we put Ragnarok on there. We can see the numbers. It's going down. Now we'll take it off. So then in a year we can go, hey, God of War Ragnarok is on PlayStation Plus, and it'll pop it up even more. And a lot of that times they will also put it on the second tier where you don't own it and you don't have it forever, and then they'll take it off, and then a year or so later they will then put it as a PlayStation Plus game that you then own for as long as you have the subscription deal, and then kind of technically upgrade it that way. But again, it's just one of those things where they can sell you on the same thing 3 times.
Yeah, it's the whole like Disney Vault thing,
Yeah, exactly. The whole Disney Vault thing. But all right.
And they need to do that right now because they're not coming out with any games. Because the one strategy that Sony really sucked at was we're going to do a bunch of live service games. Oh, wait, that failed. And now we're waiting for other games to be made and to come out. So they need to be able to recycle all of these games right now and put them in rotation while we wait for actual games to come out again.
Just please don't do it with Ghost of Tsushima because I'm still working my way through that game. So it's like, but do whatever you want, I guess, Sony. But we know Xbox is obviously on the other side of things, and they, the thing with them is that their messaging is kind of all over the place, and they've pivoted so many times over these years since they've had Game Pass. And of course, some of that led to the acquisitions and all the other things that have happened with Xbox. And unfortunately, as has been the case, I think it was 4 times last year. They had a small mention of layoffs between like everything at Microsoft, but the one that Jason Schreier is reporting on, this is supposed to affect the Xbox team in general. It's reported by Bloomberg, Jason Schreier, saying that Microsoft plans to cut thousands of jobs next week, most consisting of its salespeople, but now appears its gaming division will also be affected by layoffs. This will be the 4th major round of layoffs at Xbox in the past 18 months, which coincides with the time that they bought Activision Blizzard. This is never good, especially after you've made such a big deal about Game Pass revenue went up, and all of the other areas except for your consoles went up, and now for some reason you're still laying people off. This industry makes no sense.
Yeah, I thought Xbox was doing the best thing ever.
Yeah. But I mean, Randy, I don't know what else there is to say with these things. I feel like
it's sadly rinse and repeat. We absolutely hate it. We don't want people to lose their jobs. But it is just I think all of us kind of saw this coming when they went out and bought all these companies and thought it was going to change everything. It's like, yes, Game Pass prices went up, like so they tried to settle it that way, but it wasn't like they're going to bring in a ton of new Game Pass subscribers because they were already doing a lot before that, so it wasn't going to like triple by any means. So you just spent all this money, you're not making a ton back from it as much as you're hoping. So the best way that businesses do is just get rid of the small people according to them, and it's just rinse and repeat. And I'm with you. It's so tough when you see these kind of companies, whether it's in gaming or sports or whatever industry, where they have one meeting where they're like, this was the best year ever for us, and this was great, and we saw improvements here and an increase of this percentage. And then next week we are cutting this percentage of people because now we have to top last year's numbers, and to do that we have to not pay as many people. So it just the business world sucks.
Yeah, Sony just did it too. They laid off people at Ben's studio, and then they announced, like the week before, they announced how much the PlayStation 5 generation has made them money.
Yeah,
so it's such a crazy industry. This industry. I hope we get to the point where this can level out. I don't know that when it will get to that point.
We are very much headed to a video game crash 2.0, and it's not because nobody's buying the game. It's because there's going to be nobody left to make them.
Yeah, I hope that's something. It's one of those things where, like, we're seeing so much change happen. I'm hoping that with so many successes that we've had this year with the smaller games, whether it's Schedule 1 or Expedition 33, Repo, Blueprints, people start getting the picture that you don't need to have these immense studios with all of these people working there. You can have these smaller studios with smaller size games, and
I think the one big example that you just brought up is Expedition 33. Like the other ones, like Blueprints is such a niche game that I absolutely adore, but it's not going to be for everybody. But Expedition 33 is this big, beautiful looking game, and it's getting a lot of people's attention. And what was their staff, like 30, 40 people? And it didn't take them 10 years to come out with. But it didn't come out. It took them just a couple of years from when they showed it off to having it out. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is hoping to come out next year, and it's been over a decade. Not every game has to be absolutely massive. Like, get this stuff out. Listening to old podcasts where they're talking about, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 came out in like a 4-year period, and now games are a lot harder. But we just need to scale things back. We need to lower our expectations as consumers and not expect everything to be top tier quality as far as graphics go, and let them get these games out for us to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that with the, how iterative these console cycles are going to be going forward, and the Switch 2 is, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series were that, but Switch 2 is even a bigger showcase of that the diminishing returns on graphics gets to the point where it's like, okay, now we can just focus on making great games again. Not that there hasn't been, but we don't have to have, 20,000 people working on one game, for years and years and years, and spending all this money, and then you have to lay off half of them because it didn't make anything near what it costs, But speaking of costs, we know that Xbox, Microsoft are doing that with whether it's marketing, whether it's Game Pass, whether it's whatever they pay people to put the games in Game Pass and the games that they make. And also, spending money on consoles that supposedly, according to the deal that they did last week with AMD, they are going to continue to make consoles, at least for one more generation, whatever that ends up looking like. We have 2 former employees of Microsoft kind of giving their opinions on, essentially, they're not happy with what Microsoft has decided to do with Xbox going forward, and they wanted to voice their opinion about it. Mike Ybarra, who worked, as part of he was vice president of Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass. He worked at various other roles in Microsoft. He was also, head of Blizzard for 3 years before he left. He kind of said, it's tough to see Xbox confused about who it is and what it should be. Some great people still there. They have to figure out what needs to change, and fast. He was later asked about, what it means for them as a console maker. And he says, from what I see, they're no longer that. As in a console maker, straddling the fence is not a winning plan. And then Laura Fryer made a whole 12-minute video. She is actually one of the lead people on the original Xbox team. And she was gone on to work on various games. She went as part of WB later, and as far as Epic. She essentially just says that she hates seeing Xbox become what it is because, you know, to her, Xbox meant something else, right? The exclusive games, the having the console. She's not happy about the whole Xbox Play Anywhere and all this, the direction that Xbox is going in, that she thinks that Xbox hardware is essentially dead. That they're going to just keep doing the ROG Ally X is going to be the future. They're just going to keep, they won't have anything that just says Xbox on it. It'll keep having another manufacturer make it, and they'll just slap the Xbox logo on it. Randy, you know, Mark and I have talked about it a lot, so I kind of want to get a fresh perspective on this whole thing of, do you know, I saw it firsthand with my daughter playing games with her because she plays, you know, she mostly plays Roblox and other things that you could also play on your phone. But she asked me, like, why can't I play this thing on, you know, the Xbox, or why can't I play this? And it's like, well, because it's not made by them, or it's just not on there, or whatever. And she's like, that kind of doesn't make sense, you know? And I can kind of see their strategy that way of that, you know, our kids that are coming up, they're not used to that, right? I mean,
yeah,
they're used to, like, I could turn on my phone, my computer, and whatever I want to play, it's there, right? And so they're kind of betting on, well, everybody's going to just want to be able to play their game wherever they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this winds up working, or
honestly, it depends on
yeah,
it depends on how many people want to play along with Microsoft. Obviously, Microsoft and Sony don't play along super well unless they're forced to. So that's not going to be the case. We're not going to see Game Pass on the Sony platform anytime soon.
Yeah.
Microsoft and Xbox seem to be working a little bit closer, but yeah, my daughter's the same way. Like, she has her games that she wants to play, and she has gotten fully hooked on Minecraft, and will play it on the old one on the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One. Sorry, the Xbox One, where she's able to play it near her room, or she'll get on the PS4 with my kid, or we finally broke down and bought it for the 30th time on the PlayStation 5 so we could all play it as a family.
Yeah.
Or she'll play it on whatever to try to get it. And the same thing, like, my son's really into the Roblox, and Addie likes watching, and she started to play Fortnite too, and it is kind of fun to go in there, and my son's playing on his PS4 and she's playing on the Switch, and they're playing together on Fortnite. So there's games that can work like that, and Microsoft's trying their best to be that way. And honestly, if you're Microsoft, it is so much cheaper to put a sticker on something than to make your own console. So why not work with other people to then allow your games to be played on more places? Because I think that's where the next generation wants it. They don't care about console wars, right? People need to understand that. Like, you can go on Twitter and people care, but that's not the world. It's just cranky people like us that get on there and whine about stuff. Like, the next generation just wants to play games. They don't care where. Just give me the game that I have seen everyone else play. My daughter will watch some random kid YouTuber or whatever, and they get hooked on a game, and she wants to play that game. And,
right, yeah.
And then all that she cares about is having access to it. She doesn't care if it's on a Sony or an Xbox or a Switch, or just let me play the game. And I think that's what Microsoft's trying to do now. It's like, all right, we get it. We're third place in the console stuff. So now let's just make sure that our Game Pass, which we think is our big money winner, can go out to everywhere. And who wants to work with us and who wants to play nice? And I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Mark, anything?
I mean, the old heads are right. Like, why even have the Xbox division around anymore if we're not going to build an Xbox?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a strategy. So we talked about this, but it's a strategy of they do not want Windows to become a platform that only exists because you have to have it to have a computer. Because essentially, you know, if it went away from gaming is a way for them to make money, right? So if they can make Windows be something that you can then actually use on a handheld,
then we literally just talked about how they're laying thousands of people off.
Right.
in the Xbox division, so they're clearly not making that much money.
Oh, they're making
Like-
money, but they don't want to pay the people that they don't think they need to pay.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need a
but then-
sale. You don't need a sales market if you're not selling an Xbox.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, we already know that they have so many different devices that don't sell. Like, I don't ever hear anybody say they bought a Surface, anything, but they make those things every year. And I imagine that every year it's diminishing returns because once you buy one, you don't need to buy another one for like years.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and I will say it's a interesting concept as far as like, Sony talked about how they don't want to lose that PS4 audience, right? And it's going to be interesting to see like how when we get to the PlayStation 6, are you going to do what Microsoft does right now where I can literally play any game that I own on the Xbox One in my daughter's room that I put in her room, but it plays through the cloud, right? Is Sony going to they do that with the PS3 games, but is Sony going to do that with your, PS4 game? If you would still want to play, let's say something on you already can't do that with your PS5 games, right? On the PS4, you have to own the actual PS5. So that's one area where I feel like as we go in time, and let's say the consoles keep getting more and more expensive, as we imagine they will be, because those prices to get the components are not going to go down. Will people just keep staying with those PS4s and Xbox Ones and whatever and not upgrading because they can still play Fortnite and all these other games, and then oh, well, the system that allows me to play all these other things on the console I already own, I can see where that works in a way. Does it move enough people to that ecosystem? That's the thing that I don't know. That whole strategy I think is great for the consumer, but I don't know if it works for everyone, right? Where Mike Ybarra might be right in the long end of this, where Microsoft just says, okay, we're going to become Sega, and we're just going to be the biggest publisher there is, and that's it, right? But they are a big enough company where, like I just said with the Surface, they could legitimately just keep making consoles. They don't care that it wastes money. They're just doing it because they have the money to do it, right? And they're going to iterate so much that consoles are going to become such a thing where seeing maybe 2 different PS5 Pros or something might not be a thing that's too long in our distant future. Or just, who knows if at some point, like, I wonder, does Sony eventually make a cloud machine that just, says, okay, here's the PlayStation 7 or whatever it is, it is an interesting thought to see what consoles are like after this next one that we know is happening. As internet keeps improving and all that stuff. They said that they're not going on cloud yet, but let's see what happens when we get to that. But Sony has no reason to change anything. They're doing great as far as things go, and I think Xbox has the ability to do what they're doing because they have all the games that they can count on, the big ones that make them money, right? If they didn't have that, it wouldn't really go anywhere.
I mean, you mean the big game, not games.
Well, they have Candy Crush and they have other mobile games that Activision owns that get them money. It's just, yes, you're right. They have Call of Duty. But they have their Minecraft also makes them quite a bit, especially now with that movie that really made people start playing that game again that weren't. So
yeah, I'm in trouble. My daughter just found the Microsoft Store, so pray for me.
That's the thing. Yeah, that already happened to me. I already had to buy her like a few games, and I'm just like, okay, I didn't even know this game was a game, but I'm glad that, now she's trying to get me on because she has my Switch 1 now, and she's like, oh, so this Hello Kitty game is there. You know, I'm just like, man, you know, this isn't on. This isn't a nice like $10-15. This is like a $40 game here. I don't know, like you know. But I'm just happy she's playing games. That's all that matters to me at the end of the day. So, however somebody can make it easy for you know future generations to play, that's what matters. But yeah, I mean, speaking of bringing back games, you know, Randy, we both really enjoyed that EA Sports college football 25 last year. 26 is about to come out
Way too soon.
next week.
Yes.
And now there apparently is going to be the return of the EA Sports college basketball game. The first time in 16 years. And, you know, just for basketball in general, they haven't had a basketball game since NBA Live 19, which is, what, like
Tragic.
7 years
Mm-hmm.
in general for them for basketball. 2K has essentially just become the de facto basketball game. You know, I think neither one of us are big college basketball fans, but I do like seeing this kind of come back because there are a lot of college basketball fans that not as much college football, but I think that there are a lot of people that will be excited about this. You know, where are you standing on the whole?
I will wait and see as far as college basketball. Obviously, college football was a game I played a ton back in the day because I thought they nailed it. And I always liked college football over Madden, even before Madden became
Right.
all about cards and stuff. But EA has never been able, or at least for a long time, been able to really nail a good basketball game. Like I always liked NBA 2K more than NBA Live back when I played NBA games. And I never liked any of their college basketball games. I have the NCAA basketball 10, the last game that they made, and it is rough. It just does not play well. And it's not just because it's 16 years ago. I mean, you go compare it to other games of that era, and they just were not able to nail it. So I knew NCAA football the moment they announced that. All right, I'm getting it because I have that itch, and I've gone back and played the old one many times over the years just to you know, cure that itch. I had no interest for college basketball, but hopefully they give it the love that it deserves so that they actually come out with a really good game because college basketball died well before college football games did. College basketball games did not die because of the legal reasons that college football video games did. It just died because nobody ever made a good one and nobody bought them, and they just moved on from it. So I'm hopeful, but I will wait and see.
Yeah, I'm in that same void. I really hope it's great, just because you know it's great for the people that love those games. It's another way to kind of live that. Whether you're in university right now, or you get to play as your old school, or the school you love, or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe it will inspire because I've always been one that I grew up with like NBA Live and stuff like that. So I was kind of always partial to those. Obviously, they went way off track and were just terrible after a while. And, you know, of course, eventually when you have like 2K that's eating your lunch, what's the point? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it would be nice to see them be able to accomplish this, something they haven't been able to do in so long. And maybe perhaps this brings back the NBA Live as well. And you can have that. I haven't really loved an EA basketball game since EA Street Volume 2 when they had the EA Big label and all that. So, you know, it's great. I'm happy that they're bringing this back.
Both you guys basically have said that EA can't make a good basketball game, or it's been like 15 years. What about NBA Elite 11?
That was awful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, they actually technically canceled that game.
Yeah, I know.
Somehow,
That's the funniest part. Yeah.
And they have obviously they're going to have hopefully new people that work there that maybe have figured out how to do a basketball game. But
yeah,
this has a higher mountain to climb to be successful.
Oh, definitely.
This seems like a fool's errand because at least like the college football game, it has I mean, it's not exact, I guess, but it's a good enough framework of the Madden game that just slap the NCAA coat of paint on and call it a day. But Yeah, they got like make a new game.
But
No, I mean, I
It's
would
different.
say that there's actually a lot more differences in the college football game that they don't add to Madden because there's just things about college football that just aren't the same.
But even that, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, is it the same
plays
developer?
it's different people.
Yeah.
They work together. Madden is slow and sluggish, and college football is more arcadey.
Yeah.
Like, college football wants you to go out there and put up 40, 50 points and have a good time. Madden is like stuck on realism, and they don't like the Frostbite engine cannot do it. And they try their best to have everything down to a T, and it just breaks the game. Like the bugs in Madden, there's bugs in college football. Let's not get crazy too, but it plays completely different. And I only say that as I wait for Madden to hit Game Pass, and then I try it just to see how it works out if it's changed, and then I play 2 games and go, nope, it's the same. And I loved college football. They played completely different.
Agree. It's going to be interesting because I do agree, Mark. They did have the framework. Like, they know what that football game needs to be or whatever. Whereas the basketball, that's got to be a whole different thing they got to make because they don't have a basketball game to pull the framework from outside of just, taking what 2K does.
And
whatever,
Well, to Randy's point, like the college football game, it's still EA Orlando. It's still Frostbite.
Right.
Like, they can gussy it up or, hopefully fix some shit, but it's the same basic game.
Well, I mean, it's just they play so differently, though. It's just it does not feel the same, and just the whole atmosphere of it and everything else. They do a great job of keeping them separate. There are a lot of gameplay elements that are the same. A lot of things that get introduced into college that year, they try to introduce into Madden next year. That kind of thing. They also obviously have the whole Road to Glory thing that goes from college to the pros, and you continue the same character, whatever. But they play differently, which is actually good. That's the whole point. Like, because you can't have the EA arcade games anymore, it is nice to have that differentiation between the two. So
EA should bring back is the Arena Football League game.
Yeah, why not? Although the Arena Football League.
Arena Football.
Exactly. But we'll see what happens with that's probably one of those things that I'm sure it's not going to get released next year. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not till 2027. That did take at least what they did that with the football one where they just announced it randomly, and then it was like 2 or 3 years later they had the first trailer and all that stuff. So
they did the teaser, and then a couple of months later they're like, it's not close.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's coming, but we'll tell you when.
It literally the teaser is we got greenlit.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they actually have to go do the game.
That's like their skate game they're trying to do now.
Oh man, is that ever coming?
They're banking on that thing. Like, that's one of their core franchises, supposedly. So
Look, skate. Not to get too far off the rails. Skate got hosed because they're like, we're making a skate game, and Tony Hawk went, you can play my old games. And everyone went, no, who cares about skate anymore?
But nicer. You can play my old games, but looking nicer.
Exactly. Here's Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Skate what?
Oh. Yeah, it's going to be interesting once, Tony Hawk's, 3 and 4 come out in a couple weeks here. If anybody ever going to think about skate after that. So EA might have to go back to the drawing board there with that. But at least we do know when one of Capcom's flagship franchises, their next game is coming. Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9, whatever you want to call it, is going to come February 27th, 2026. They had a Capcom showcase, which I don't know really what this was. It felt like just an excuse to have like 30 minutes of Monster Hunter at the end.
Have we ever had a Capcom showcase and not went? Why?
It was nice to see more Pragmata, at least. After they kind of just showed that one trailer, and then that's it. anything.
Monster Hunter game is like a disaster.
It's crazy, man. Like how much people are still playing Worlds,
Right.
and people are still playing Rise. Not that people aren't playing Wilds, but like definitely it has gone down, right? And I think even the reviews have turned negative and all that with that game. But the fact that they took so much time for that really shows that they wanted to make sure you knew that there is content coming, because they really need that thing to keep making money. Although it did 10 million already just off of the initial sales for this year or whatever when it came out, at the early part of the year. I think the best thing that I heard about Requiem was that thank God they decided to not do the open world part.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have ever worked for a Resident Evil game. I would have been really worried about it. I know they're trying different stuff, but yeah, Resident Evil in open world is. Listen, we try to do like the online games with Resident Evil, and most of them did not work. This game is based kind of on an online game, so
yeah, Village is kind of open world to an extent. I mean, you have to do the side areas to progress the story, but like there's like main shit to do in like the initial town.
Yeah, I would say open, very small open zone Resident Evil game. Far more open than any other Resident Evil game has been. So I totally agree there. And it might be that way for this one. Hopefully you get to explore kind of the streets of Raccoon City, and it becomes a little bit more open because everything's blown the hell up. But I will say I love the fact that you can switch freely between first person and third person. And I don't know if this was the case or if it was just the way it was for Summer Game Fest, but everybody that went there and tried the demo out, it basically said this is best played in first person and this is best played in third person. So obviously different areas will be more creepy, like they were showing in some of this trailer, and some will be more action based, and maybe you want to be third person that way. But I do like that you can freely switch back and forth.
Do you like that they're kind of trying to meld both, I guess you could say 2 and 4 together instead of staying in one lane? And they do seem to go back more to like, we wanted to make it more horror this time, but they also wanted to have the action elements. Are you okay with that, or you wanted it to be more just all horror?
It depends on how far they go with it. If you're having the spooky sections like the house in Resident Evil 7, where you have a giant creature chasing after you or whatever, and then the next thing you know, you're facing off a horde of zombies that are running at you in knight's armor and crazy stuff like you get in 4, maybe it gets a bit too much. The only thing I don't want is 6, where they try to do everything and they don't do any of it right.
But that's Jens's favorite game.
That's fine, but
no, it's not.
Resident Evil, it's okay. That's good. But to me, Resident Evil 6 was we want to try this and 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 that, and they don't nail it yet.
They overstuffed it and it had like no personality because of that. Because like every character is supposed to play differently, but that doesn't work.
I know there's been it's all rumors and just people trying to figure out stuff. I know Leon Kennedy has been a big. Oh, it would be great if he came back, and they even mentioned him by name. That Capcom thing, but
that's the real wrong attitude. This game should just be full of like the Resident Evil cast-off characters. Like, don't have Chris or Leon. Have like Jake Mueller from Resident Evil 6 and Sheva from Resident Evil 5. The characters that like were in one game that no one cares about.
The character they've shown is the daughter of a character from
exactly. Like, who gives a shit about her? Like, that's the funniest thing ever.
So that's what I'm very curious where it go. I'm just happy we're going to Raccoon City. Never thought we'd see that again. And you know what? It looks like it's in better shape than I thought it was going to be compared to how big of the explosion was in 2 and 3. So could you give them credit for fixing
maybe they'll finally add Allison from the films as like a video game character.
I would imagine they don't want anything to do with that character at all. But yeah. Hey, speaking of movies, thank you, Mark, for that segue. We got the casting for Street Fighter, the new movie. Well, you did say, what do you think Jason Momoa could do? And you mentioned Blanca. So they got that one. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson will play Balrog. And Roman Reigns is also going to be in this as Akuma. Randy, are you ready?
That's what I view for that character.
So Akuma is only going to show up for 30 seconds of this movie, right? Because what Roman Reigns does, he only shows up a little bit every year.
You forgot he's going to show up and then do the Superman punch.
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be
a Superman punch and a spear is happening in this movie.
Akuma's signature moves, the Superman punch.
It will be. The next Street Fighter game that adds Akuma, or a DLC for the Street Fighter game 6, Akuma all of a sudden is going to do and he's going to go for it. They're going to go all in with it.
Yeah. Will it make as much money as the first Street Fighter movie? That's going to be
no.
Another thing. You don't think it'll make at least 100 million?
I mean, it depends on how much it costs them to make it.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to cost 35 million. They're definitely going to put more money into this.
The only casting for this thing that actually is approaching good is Alan Richardson as Guile.
Yeah, fair enough on that.
And the only thing with him, and I like him as Reacher on that show, but his flat top needs to be growing with every scene he's in.
Yeah.
So by the end, it's like 6 feet tall.
I'm good with that.
True. Yeah, well, it'd be cool to see once, they have a trailer for this and whatnot, how they're going to actually be as characters.
Let me guys ask you this, since I know you're peripherally still watching wrestling. I think, how much do you think WWE gets behind this thing?
None, because Mr. Man's not there, and nobody else cares about WWE films. So I don't think.
No, I don't mean like that. I don't mean that specifically. I just mean like them.
Were they advertising stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will probably be a sponsor for one of the premium live events, whatever month it comes out in.
And they'll have a logo on the ring mat that they've been doing lately, and
they did it for King of Fighters, for God's sake.
That really worked out well.
Depending on the month this comes out, like WrestleMania has sponsored matches.
Yeah,
Clash of Clans sponsored a wrestling match at WrestleMania, so Street Fighter will do that same.
Yeah, they have Fortnite regularly as a sponsor all the time.
It'll be Akuma versus Logan Paul.
Yeah,
that'll be hilarious.
At WrestleMania this year, it was the New Day versus the Viking Raiders, and it was sponsored by Clash of Clans. So the Viking Raiders came out as Clash of Clans characters. That was their entrance. Was them in that outfit. It was whatever for money.
Yeah, I guess. Triple H did not he learned that side of it for sure. He gotta do whatever for money on that. Just a programming note, I guess on Wednesday there's going to be a Bandai Namco showcase. They did have the Arc System Works showcase, but I'm not even gonna bother with that thing because the major game that they showed, I have no idea what the heck it is. And the rest of it was like, okay, that's a game. I forgot the Bubble Bobble was getting a new game, and Double Dragon Revive is a thing. Sure,
try, man.
But
was weird.
At least Bandai Namco has a lot of things happening here, so they got plenty to show between that Blood of Dawn Walker game, the Shadow Labyrinth, the Evil Pac-Man thing, Tekken 8, Little Nightmares 3. So gonna be interesting. Plus, they keep teasing if they're gonna have either another Tales announcement or Ace Combat 8. So, yeah. Credit to
I'm
Bandai
surprised
Namco.
they haven't done a Tales of Arise anime yet.
I think they might have if the DLC would have caught the game on fire again, but that game kind of had its moment, and then that was it.
Yeah, but the DLC came out like a year and a half too late.
Yeah, that too. So. But yeah, the before we get to the, I guess the best games here, really quick, just because it's interesting to see like how much this has changed. They're as we talk about changing strategies with Xbox and everything, Netflix has really gone 180 with how much they have been promoting games. Since they even went to the far as getting Joseph Staten to be part of a AAA game studio that then closed down without even ever showing us anything about a game, to now they are just delisting games off of Netflix mobile, where they tried to make that such a big deal. Even having day one releases and they own a studio, the Night School Studio, and everything that's supposedly working on a game. Randy, like, I thought mobile was supposed to be big. Like, what happened here with Netflix? And they delisted like all their big games, basically.
I'll be the first to say I always forget Netflix has games. So
yeah, that's true too.
If I wasn't on this episode or I did not listen to this particular episode, they could have came and gone, and I would have totally forgotten. I would have never noticed.
Honestly, I don't watch that. I mean, there are people that watch everything on their phone. I have Netflix is somewhat on everything that I never open the app on my phone. I always have it on my TV or something else. So, and I know they're on my TV, like the LG that I have. You can play the games with I could technically hook up a Bluetooth controller and play the games on there, but I'm not going to. But I think the only time I really care was when they had that WrestleQuest game. And I think I played Carmen Sandiego a few times, and I thought it was fine. But like, really, that's the thing is, I think they realized that they couldn't charge anybody for these games. Like, nobody's going to pay any more than they already do for Netflix to play this stuff. So it's like, it's not an incentive for anybody to get the highest tier of Netflix either. It's like, what do you gain from this at all? I don't know. I feel bad. I mean, I guess people got their money, but
they even delisted like the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff with like the Black Mirror, which thankfully I still have a DVD of that.
Yeah, I figured once they started, like delisting the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff, it was like only a matter of time. And like Monument Valley 3 basically just got added, and that thing's already getting delisted off of there. Like, it's crazy that they just went like the other way with that. So at least the Apple Arcade is still technically a thing, but it's interesting to see where like mobile games are going with that. But all right, let's get into our best games of 2025 so far.
But you forgot the important news that Sonic Adventure's not getting a remake.
Oh, I was trying to save it some time, but yeah.
Well, you mentioned best games, so
okay, I like Sonic Adventure. Something wrong with it. I also kind of agree that not everything needs to have a remake. So I kind of agree with Lazuka-san here that I'm glad to hear that we're not getting remakes or remasters of Sonic Adventure anytime soon. Like, go make something new, please do.
I mean, Sonic Adventure, it's like 2 parts of a good game. The problem is there's 6 parts, so the other 4 parts are crap.
Are you also including 2 in that?
No, because 2 has like 3 parts and only 1 part's like somewhat decent.
Okay. Like maybe they realize that too, that it's just too much work for probably very little return.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that Sonic Crossworlds apparently is not going to have as much rubber banding, which that's good.
I'm actually surprised they're not remaking it though. Like just calling it like an HD version and shitting it out. They crapped out that Shadow the Hedgehog game recently. It's like, who asked for that?
Well, but they added that on. I mean, that game's actually sold pretty decently.
Yeah.
And, so credit to them. I mean, the Sonic games, that's like when they revealed those sales numbers last week. I mean, the Sonic games are doing pretty well. So, credit to them. But I don't think that bringing back these Dreamcast games are going to do the same numbers.
Bring back Sonic R from the Sega Saturn.
Yeah. There you go. But all right, Randy, what are your best games so far that you've played in?
You mean the games I've had a chance to play? Because that's the list.
That's fine.
I have 5. I have 5 games I've played this year. I've beat 2 of them. One's not a game to beat, and we've already talked about the 2 I'm currently going through. But number 5, of course, I'll just say I'm going to be the show because I get it every year. Hopefully, by the time we do Game of the Year at the end, I've played 10 games and I don't have to add it to my list. But right now, I needed it for 5. So that's 5th. Split Fiction is actually number 4 for me. I really liked it. Haley and I played it all the way through, just like we did It Takes Two. It's too long. And not like the game itself, but like the levels and the sections are just too long. I think It Takes Two was fantastic because it had so many mini games to get lost in. And we had so much fun playing all of the little things along the way that you just kind of got lost in the game. Split Fiction, I think, was a lot harder, which is difficult when you're playing with somebody that is not typically a gamer. So we got stuck in a lot of parts. And other than like 1 or 2 side stories, like all the other side stories could have just been missions anyways. They're not off the beaten path. I really thought the imagination was going to happen when you do the pig level. If you've not played that, it's the highlight of the whole game because they try to have fun and they went way off the rails. And my daughter still wants to play just that level anytime she wants to play Split Fiction. But I just don't think it hit the same marks as It Takes Two. Still very good game, just wasn't up there. Number 3 for me is Blueprints. It was the game this year that has made me cuss more than any other game. It is the most frustrating puzzle game I've ever played, but I couldn't stop playing it. The amount of times that Haley and I would be playing, I get frustrated and toss the controller down and then go, all right, let's play it again tomorrow. It was countless. The whole randomized rooms thing creates some really interesting aspects to it. But especially once you get to the conclusion and you technically beat Blueprints, and now you're just trying to do all the extra stuff, trying to get rooms to line up to unlock the secret things that you've started to figure out became a chore. I say that I could not put it down. So, I mean, for what it's worth, but it was not like Lorelei and the Laser Eyes where just the puzzles were really, really hard and we banged our heads against it trying to figure out the solutions. The puzzles weren't super hard for Blueprints. It was just the depth that they went really impressed us. And then it got a little wild. I've just got to the point where I watch videos of people that are really good at that game to get the super deep stuff. But like the base game, I absolutely loved. And then my top 2, which who knows, I'll say Death Stranding 2 right now would be number 2. It's just Death Stranding, but more. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show. I'm absolutely loving my time. But my main battle, and Mark can use this against me when we come back in December or January for the top 10. But my main battle for Death Stranding winning Game of the Year was something completely different, something we've never seen before. And that's why Expedition 33 right now is my Game of the Year at this point. These 2 I've not beaten. We talked about it already. But absolutely, I'm going to continue playing them. And by the time we get to Game of the Year, I will have hopefully beaten them both and we'll have even more praise to say. But those 2 are kind of neck and neck. But I'll use my same argument against me. Expedition 33 is unlike anything I've played before. And they absolutely knocked it out of the park so far.
All right, Mark. What are your how many you want to have in your?
I have 6, but I can get through a few of these pretty quickly. For number 6, I had Capcom Fighting Collection 2. I just like Project Justice. People like Power Stone, I guess. So that's all right. Number 5 is Sniper Elite Resistance. It's more Sniper Elite.
yeah.
You know, me and Jens kind of like blaze through it. It's still enjoyable, and it's always fun to shoot Nazis in the nuts. Number 4 was Split Fiction for me. I didn't like that one as nearly as much as It Takes Two. Like, It Takes Two had like the one annoying racist fairy guy. I forget the guy's name.
Right. The book.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like Split Fiction, like
the one main
story,
character.
Yeah. But Split Fiction is just like, it's so dumb. Like the bad guy is just so over the top, like cartoonishly like inept. And I agree. Like the levels are too long. Like you said, your wife your wife's not a gamer and she got stuck a few times. Me and Jens are gamers and we still got stuck a few times. And it's like, there are problems in the game where it's like they should have some tutorial, or it's like, oh, if you keep beating your head against this puzzle after like 10 minutes, you have a skip button, or show me what the hell to do. Like, and yeah, I liked It Takes Two. Like it had like a few big open worlds, like the Christmas world.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a big area, and you got like a ton of shit here. And It Takes Two. I mean, sorry, Split Fiction didn't have any of that.
Yeah, it's linear.
Yeah. That said,
real quick, I don't want to mess with you. You just made it pop in my head. But have you gotten to a point where, I know you died saying you were fighting the Metal Gear ripoff in Death Stranding 2. Have you died to any other bosses where it goes, try again, or just pretend you won?
No.
It's hilarious. I died to one of the really big boss outside of one of the places, and that's your option. I didn't click it because I don't know what it does, but it was literally try again or pretend you won. So it has that option of, all right, you don't want to do this, boss, we could just skip it.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
Yeah,
sure.
I love it.
Like I have only died to bosses in that game, like especially the first one. I just don't like how they do bosses in Death Stranding, like the whole like area full of tar, jumping from school bus to school bus. It's like, okay, I guess, but like I like the octopus one. That's pretty cool. Number 4, sorry, was Split Fiction. Also that Sydney Sweeney movie, especially depending on how unclothed she gets in it, that might be worthwhile. But number 3 is Death Stranding 2. Again, I want to play 6 games. So number 2 for me is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and number 1 is Expedition 33. That's
fair.
I mean, I can't say every game coming out for the next 6 months or 5 months, but I don't see anything taking that game. That much song's real good.
I mean, there is, for some people, I already see Death Stranding 2, people that have reviewed it that have it as their game of the year. It has the same score on, I think, Open Critic right now. It's Expedition 33. I'm not counting the Zelda remakes. That's BS that Metacritic counts that. I guess I'll get through mine, and we can talk about any games that you guys that have already come out or games that are gonna come out that you definitely want to play. For me, I'm gonna do 6 as well, with a couple honorable mentions. Just Rest of the Necrodancer was great to kind of start out the year. Loved that you basically take the Necrodancer formula, turn that into a Guitar Hero game. You got me right there with some great music, and they did that awesome. So, got to review that, and it was really fun. Rematch is also really good as well. It's from Slow Clap. It's not perfect. It's got some rough edges for sure, but it's definitely, I think it's going to keep growing as a party game. It's already got 3 million people playing it. And it's short. It gets to the point. It's fun. Just take a arcade version of soccer with some crazy stuff, kind of like Rocket League with people, and they did a good job with it. So far, I'm surprised. Hopefully, they just keep iterating on it and definitely get some of the crossplay and some of the things that are missing in there, so more people can play for sure. But number 5 for me is South of Midnight. It's just an absolute look. The battle system, the actual gameplay is, whatever, but the world is amazingly well done. I still can't get over the art sometimes, the way they did it, and just the way that they absolutely capitalized on giving the Southern culture a place and doing that well in the Southern folklore. Absolutely tremendous. So, like, want to give them Compulsion Games a nod for actually coming out with, look, the game is not oh my god, this I would say you got to definitely go out there and play, but for being on Game Pass and it's like 10-12 hour thing, it's well worth experiencing. And it's also modestly priced, so credit for that for them. Number 4, I'm gonna say Doom: The Dark Ages. Still play that here and there. Really fun game. Love the the stand your ground combat with the shield and everything, and then you just get to shoot stuff. And that game's fun. I'm not big on the exploring and finding all the stuff. I just want to go through and just kill stuff, and that's a fun game to just pop on, just kill some dudes and go on with it. Still probably think they paid too much attention to the story, honestly. But it is what they're trying to end it on a note, I guess. So give them that. Mario Kart World number 3 for me. Fantastic game. Look, the free roam stuff sucks, but the rest of the game is top notch. The knockout tour thing is tremendous. Great job on them for adding a battle world to Mario Kart. I'm going to be interested to see if they keep adding stuff to it eventually. Number 2 is Despelote. Absolutely one of those games that like takes you to that moment, and it's really short. Never thought there would be a game that shows you how it is, how a whole country got behind getting to the World Cup for the first time and doing that so well and such a like old school style. And one of my absolute favorite games that I've played in a long time, just because, hit me in all the feels for that. And then Expedition 33, number 1. I haven't beat it yet, but I know it's going to be my number 1. It's the game I've enjoyed the most. It's a game that I thought about every time when I'm not playing it. So when I had to like pull away from it because I had to play other things for review or whatever, I was just like, damn it. What, I got to stop playing this game. But I'm glad I can go back to it now since I don't have anything I have to play till Donkey Kong unless the College Football 26 review code shows up or something. But yeah, just enjoy the hell out of that game. And it's a testament to Sandfall and all those people that they made this game. And I'm glad that it's getting I really just hope at the end of the day, it gets the awards that it deserves when we get to the end of the year and not just gets overtaken by something else. But we'll see. Any games that you guys haven't played that are like on your list that you feel like you want to play that have already come? Okay. Borderlands 4.
Oh, I said that already come out. Sorry,
yeah.
I look into the future.
Yeah, actually, a lot of your guys' lists are stuff that I'm looking forward to. I have South of Midnight and Doom Eternal downloaded. I just haven't gotten around to giving them a try yet. And I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since I got really, really open world. And I've heard good things about Shadow, so I want to give it a try. And just because it's a little bit smaller compared to like Odyssey and stuff, and it feels like I could actually not spend 800 hours on it. So I'm very curious about that game too. I might give it a shot.
That's a partial lie, but you can break the game, so it makes a lot quicker. So
there you go.
I'm still gonna try to go back. It's not my kind of game normally. It actually might be something that might work for Mark more because he likes more of the strategy stuff, but he also doesn't like a lot of the stuff from 11-bit studios. They're the ones that make Frostpunk and whatnot. But the altars, I really like the setup of it. I like the like the whole thing of like making different altars and going through that story or whatever. It's just the strategy game part of it is one that's like kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So
I've seen Multiplicity. I know how this ends.
Yeah. As far as what's coming, guys, anything that's like for sure you want to play that's coming.
Go ahead, Mark.
We can all agree with Borderlands 4.
Yeah.
I assume for Randy, we Silent Hill F.
Mm-hmm.
For me, maybe Ghost of Yotai. Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah.
I would say Vampire Bloodlines 2, but that's never coming out. Yeah, that's kind of about it.
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound for me as well, and Shinobi. Both of those look awesome. Glad that both of them are. Are you gonna play the Metal Gear Solid Delta, Randy?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at a release list and realized how bad the end of August to the beginning of October is for me, and that for my job is the busiest time of the year. So I'm looking at this list going, all right, so Metal Gear Solid Delta, August 28th. Then September is everybody's golf and baby steps. I want to try if I have time because that game just looks.
There's a demo.
Is there? I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, if you want to play it.
All right, Mark nailed it. I want to play Silent Hill F. Final Fantasy Tactics is another one that looks interesting just because I like the original, but I know they're not doing a ton. And it doesn't seem, from everything I've been seeing, they're not using the Vita version for a lot of stuff, which is a little disappointing. Not the Vita, the PSP version, which is a little disappointing. And then, of course, Ghost of Yotai. So there's like 5 or 6 games that come out in like a 6-week period. I don't know. I'll probably have time to play one of them. So, and if I only have time to play one, it'll be Silent Hill F because that game looks like a complete mind trip, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah. Lost Soul aside, for sure, if that ends up coming out and doesn't get delayed again. Another game that's like add to the August craziness. Sword of the Sea as well. That's one of the PS Plus games. Mafia: The Old Country, Donkey Kong. Hell Is Us has really intrigued me every time I keep seeing it. So, and of course Tactics as well. I have to and how could I not include my Digimon story, Time Stranger? I'm so happy that there is another game in the story series. So yeah, and of course Ninja Gaiden 4, like Mark mentioned. So, and there's a lot of stuff that still apparently doesn't have a release date. So we'll see if it actually ends up coming this year or not. But
and there's always some kind of an indie game that sneaks in and surprises you, even this late in the year.
There's already ones that like I went through and was looking at like, okay, do I need to play this or that or whatever? I'm just like, oh god, there's like 10 of them. I don't know that I can get to all that, but we'll see. There's one that's like a Zelda, like the Pipistrello, that looks freaking great. That has like a 89 medic open critic or whatever. But yeah, there's still a lot of awesome games coming left in the year. What is your favorite game or best game of 2025 so far? I asked Crafty's community to kind of give me what they thought. We had some Despolotes in there, a lot of Expedition 33. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 got a few shouts as well. One that I don't think any of us probably has on the bill to play. But yeah, I mean, that shows how like this has been a really great year so far. even though we're not going to get GTA 6 or whatever, it shows that, hey man, as for all the shitty crap that we have to talk about with games, you still get a lot of great games that come out in the year. So yeah, this is going to be a fun one when we get to the, deciding what ends up winning game of the year and all that. But
pretty easy.
yeah, I mean, I think Expedition will wind up being like, the top, but everything else, like it's like after that, and maybe like Death Stranding 2 and a few other things, it's like, okay, what else is in there?
It's easy. It goes Expedition 33, and then Garfield Kart 2, All You Can Drift. 1, 2, right there.
Exactly. Even beats out Mario Kart World. It's just
100%.
All right. Let's, I guess, end how we always do, talking about the games that come out in the week ahead. It's always kind of, usually you don't get a lot in that first week of the month, but you do have Mecha Break that people have been waiting on for a while. This is the Gundam game that's coming out for PC and Xbox. That's coming out on the 1st. You did get Super Mario Strikers coming to Switch Online. That's the next GameCube game coming for Switch 2, and a Harvest Moon remaster. It's Harvest Moon, Lost Valley, and Skytree also coming as well. So then next week you'll start getting like with college football and some other things. So, but all right, Randy, you want to promote your Bad Brackets again here?
Yeah, just look up Bad Brackets on YouTube. Go check out 3 people yelling at me as we do it's a 24-item bracket that we break down to one. I've turned it into a game show. So there's high stakes for everybody as well. Again, best tennis players was this week. Video game sequels was, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but we do everything from video games to movies to wrestling to food to whatever you can think of. We will argue about it. So yeah, just check out Bad Bracket. Sean's been on it several times and even a past winner. So that's why he has nice things to say about it, because he's won an episode or two.
I've lost plenty as well. I still have not.
Yeah.
Even though Randy has gotten me very frustrated sometimes.
Yep.
I'm just like, damn it. But that's what's fun about that game, So yeah. Thank you so much for being on, Randy. Always appreciate when you can join us here.
Come on.
And we will see y'all next week. Hit like, subscribe, follow on whether it's YouTube or the podcasts or Twitch or whatever you end up watching or listening us on. And we'll see you later, everybody.
Later.